In Aldrich's chambers, Baron Lant and the court sorcerer discussed their investigation into the decline of mages.
The magic necklace, the key to our investigation, just vanished. This is a severe setback.
It's bewildering, Your Majesty. The thief left no trace behind. It's as if they vanished into thin air.
This necklace was our only lead. Without it, our research into the decline of mages is crippled. Could this be the work of someone who controls birds, like Henry and Bronwyn?
It's quite possible. What's our next move, Your Majesty?
With the necklace gone, what immediate steps can we take to mitigate this disaster? We must be cautious with magic stones. Although they can enhance magical abilities, their unpredictable effects are a concern. An assistant of mine lost his magic due to a stone. Even proximity to the necklace didn't restore it. There are whispers of a darker use. I would advise everyone to be careful with any magic stone until we know more.
So, you're suggesting we avoid magic stone altogether?
Precisely, Your Majesty. Until we understand the mechanics of these fluctuations in magic, it's the safest course of action.
Baron Lant, contact the Magical Academy to have them prevent their students from using magic stone. Please leave me with my thoughts.
Yes, Your Majesty.
Baron Lant and the court sorcerer left Aldrich's office. In the hallway, they spoke in hushed tones.
I am concerned. His decision to keep the princess away from his office is unusual. It's not like him to distance himself from her, especially during these times.
Could it be because of Queen Bronwyn's pregnancy? The news must have come as a shock, given the circumstances of their divorce.
Perhaps. Forget I mentioned this.
As they parted, Baron Lant couldn't shake off a gnawing sense of worry. Aldrich's actions were out of character, and he couldn't help but feel that the king's recent detachment from the princess might indeed be linked to Bronwyn's pregnancy. The revelation had stirred something in Aldrich, a turmoil that he kept hidden behind his imperial facade. Baron Lant knew that only time would reveal the true impact of this news on the king. Aldrich's mind was a tumultuous sea, waves of doubt and uncertainty crashing against the walls he had built around his heart. In the end, he could not resist going to the baby's room. There, the princess slept peacefully in her comfortable crib, with Viscountess Amelia close by.
Your Majesty, is everything all right?
Leave me.
Aldrich waved her away and walked over to the crib. Viscountess Amelia was very concerned, but obeyed his command and left the room. He looked at the sleeping baby's face and gently touched her cheek. The baby opened her eyes slowly, and as soon as she recognized his face, she smiled sweetly and made cooing sounds. Aldrich picked up the baby with a wrenching pain in his chest. The baby only continued to giggle lightly and tugged at Aldrich's cheeks and ears. Aldrich struggled to find a feature of the princess that resembled him as he let her play with his face. Eyes, nose, mouth, hair, hands, feet, skin. In his eyes, the baby looked nothing like him. There were only two people who looked like the baby, Rose and her first child. He remembered Rose's first child, whom he had barely observed. It was his understanding that Viscount Rothescue was raising him.
I need to take a closer look at that child.
When Aldrich saw Isidore for the first time, he did not pay much attention to him, even though he noticed his resemblance to Rose. But now, after placing the baby in the crib, Aldrich returned to his office and called Baron Lant, who acted for him in the shadows.
Go at once to Viscount Rothescue's mansion and bring Rosa's first child, along with Viscount Rothescue, here. Speak of this to no one."
Later, as Aldrich awaited Baron Lant's return, he was filled with dread. Time passed very slowly. But unlike the impatient Aldrich, the baby slept comfortably.
Your Majesty.
Moments later, Baron Lant entered with a man holding a small child in his arms. The man was not Viscount Rothescue. Aldrich vaguely remembered the face of the man who came to the audience chamber to ask for the child to be blessed. Yes, it was the same man who had held Rosa's first child in his arms that day.
"You must be
Alan, Your Majesty, Viscount Rothescue's son.
I did not ask to see you."
My sister has not returned for several weeks. My father is away because of it.
"Sister? Ah, yes, your sister Liliana."
Aldrich, who was about to reprimand Alan, softened at his explanation. Certainly, Viscount Rothescue must be very busy now.
"Come closer with the child."
Alan looked at Aldrich in terror and took 2 steps back, startled at the sudden order. "Why?"
"There's something I want to see."
When Alan took another step back, Aldrich's eyebrows rose accordingly.
"Come forward."
Only then did Alan realize that he could not oppose the king, so he went over and handed the baby to him. Aldrich accepted the baby, disgusted with Alan for how he treated him. But as soon as Aldrich saw the baby, his thoughts about Alan disappeared. His face turned darker. The baby looked more like Beatrice than he remembered. Then a suspicion began to build. He realized he had no other choice. The only way to dispel this doubt would be to go to the temple to take a paternity test. To take a paternity test was embarrassing, even for nobles who considered it natural to have concubines. Aldrich was horrified to see his daughter reflected in a strange child, so he hurried to return him to Alan. He then walked over to the crib and lifted Beatrice. Alan's eyes widened as he examined the child, who was, no doubt, his son's sister. However, Alan's eyes soon stopped on the princess's clothes. A comfortable baby dress made from the highest quality fabrics, of which only a few were produced each year, and soft socks on her pretty feet. The socks were adorned with small pearls. He compared the princess to his son. He made an effort to dress him well, but there was a distinct difference from the princess's clothes. Even a child from an ordinary noble family would compare better with the princess. Since Viscount Rothescue, who managed the economic part of the family, did not want his grandson, Alan could not even raise his son like those of other nobles. Besides, he had raised his son alone, isolated in a mansion. 2 identical babies with completely different lives. He couldn't stop comparing them as a fire slowly grew inside him.
"That child, who is his father?"
Alan looked at Aldrich in surprise. What? Alan lowered his head at Aldrich's fierce stare. His father had told him that the king didn't know who Isidore's real father was. He spoke exactly as Viscount Rothescue had told him. "That I don't know."
"You don't know?"
"That's right. I just—"
"If you went to the audience chamber to ask for this child to be blessed, you must have a genuine bond. But you don't know that?"
"I grew attached to him as I raised him. He's a lovely little boy."
"You may leave."
"Thank you. Thank you." Alan bowed and hurried out of the room. not knowing what he was thankful for. As soon as Alan closed the door, he lost the strength in his legs and almost collapsed. He felt suffocated in that room. Once he stepped out into the corridor, he finally caught his breath. But Alan would not have been relieved if he had seen the fierce expression with which Aldrich looked at his back as he walked away. He had begun to suspect that Beatrice's real father might be Alan. From the moment Alan left the room where he found it difficult to breathe, his thoughts of Aldrich faded with every step he took. Instead, his mind was filled with thoughts of Rose and Isidore. He went straight to the Western Palace and approached the knight guarding Rose's chamber. "I need an audience with the Queen."
I waited a few days for my parents and ladies-in-waiting to calm down from the shock of my pregnancy announcement. Then I took my leave and went to visit Grand Duke Bjorn to deal with the issue of my magical abilities. I had used magic twice accidentally. The first time, I froze Henry's hair, a potentially perilous act. The second time, I froze a doorknob. With the imminent arrival of my child, the desire to hold and caress it raised concerns unless I learned to control my abilities. In the worst-case scenario, I could inadvertently freeze the baby. When I told Grand Duke Bjorn, he was surprised. Certainly, it was an anomaly for someone devoid of magical aptitude to suddenly manifest as a sorcerer. While cases of people evolving into sorcerers after adulthood existed, it was far from commonplace.
"From freezing my heart to freezing everything around you. What can't you do?"
I understand helping me could be a burden to you, Grand Duke Bjorn.
"My only hope is that the potion's effects will wane over time.
I'm confident it will.
For the sake of my spirit, I pray you are right. As far as your magic goes, you'll naturally gain control over time. That's the usual progression. You mentioned that both times the magic emerged unexpectedly. Is that correct?
Yes.
Even when you can't control magic, it doesn't materialize out of nowhere. There must be a driving force, something you desire to acquire or understand.
I thought about Henry's lovely head in the closed doorknob.
It sounds as though your magic manifests when you're intrigued. Let me instruct you on distinguishing the flow of magic. Magic has no fixed rules. It's instinctive. You must feel the magic and master its control independently.
As he concluded, Grand Duke Bjorn approached me. All right. He gripped my forearm, and I slowly began to vibrate.
I must grab your arm. Please focus on the sensation going up along the length of your arm.
It was hard for me to concentrate at first, but once I closed my eyes, I felt a more intense tingling around the palm of my hand. It was a strange sensation, like a faint electric shock. I feel it.
Good. Now visualize that sensation extending beyond your arm. Imagine it spreading through your entire body.
I took a deep breath, trying to picture the tingling sensation engulfing me.
Focus on the energy within you. Magic is about channeling your inner essence.
I can feel it spreading.
Excellent. Now, let's see if we can guide it toward a specific intent. Picture a door. On the other side of it is control, power. What do you desire most in this moment?
My thoughts raced as I considered what I wanted. I want to open that door.
Very well. Picture the door in your mind. Don't let go of the image. Now visualize it swinging open.
I closed my eyes again, envisioning the door in vivid detail. Different doors flashed through my mind. The one with the knob I froze, the room Rose lived in that used to be mine, the door to the carriage that took me to the Celestial Isles. Doors were entrances to other worlds. The tingling sensation grew stronger, almost resonating with my thoughts. The door opening.
You're doing splendidly, Bronwyn. It's all about connecting your will with the magic within.
I did it.
Magic is a powerful force, but it requires a harmonious bond with your intentions. Keep practicing and you'll refine your control.
As Grand Duke Bjorn shared his wisdom, a newfound excitement bubbled within me. The mysteries of magic were starting to unravel, and I felt a connection to this mystical energy like never before. Suddenly, I felt another hand around my arm, and I was jerked away from the Grand Duke. I opened my eyes and saw Henry beside me.
Grand Duke, it would be more appropriate if you showed me how to do this for my wife.
They stared at each other, faces contorted with anger, when Haxon burst into the room.
Your Majesty, I have an extremely important matter to discuss with you.
Please excuse us, Grand Duke Bjorn. I believe this matter does not concern you.
The Grand Duke nodded and showed himself out. Once he was gone, Haxon put his hand over his heart and spoke somberly.
Catherine has taken her own life.
The room fell into a stunned silence.
Are you absolutely certain?
Indeed, the knights confirmed it.
Why?
Perhaps it's because of the letter you sent her.
Where I declared that the old Duke Kerridge resolved to forsake her for her nephews.
It must have been a grievous shock. Even on the day of the State Council meeting, she seemed profoundly disheartened by the old Duke. What shall our next move be?
She left no will.
No, Your Majesty.
Then we must create one. In it, she must condemn her father.
I stared at Henry in shock. What was he planning? The shadows in the dimly lit study looked ominous on the heavy antique furniture. Henry sat at his large oak desk, looking closely at Haxon.
Kerridge won't sit idly by if he thinks I am to blame.
Haxon, standing by the door, nodded in understanding. Henry sighed and shook his head, the weight of memory settling upon him. Soon he forced a smile and spoke with a dark determination.
Anyway, now that it's come to this, we have to take advantage of his fierce temperament. It's necessary to enrage him even more so that he becomes openly hostile towards me. We need to let everyone see him go mad with their own eyes. Best not to intervene directly.
Henry calmly handed a piece of paper to Haxon.
Old Duke Kerridge tried to disgrace me and isolate me from the nobles. So in turn, I will make it look like he has gone mad and isolate him from the nobles.
I understand, but why are you giving me this?
Send it to the old Duke. Offer him my sincere condolences. It is Catherine's will.
No!
Old Duke Kerridge erupted from his seat, sending plans scattering across the desk as his subordinate delivered the shocking news of Catherine's alleged suicide.
It cannot be. It's a lie. My daughter is so strong. She would never take her own life. Henry, that damned king, killed my daughter and disguised it as suicide.
Through the open window, the voices of his grandchildren fighting over a toy reached him. The old Duke stared out the window with thoughts of Catherine's childhood and watched them run freely around the private fields. Master, there is a will.
A will?
That's right.
What does the will say?
Catherine says in the will that being abandoned by the old Duke broke her heart. Of all people, she expected to receive support from you. She was so hurt that she had no reason to live anymore.
The old Duke's eyes twitched, feeling a stabbing pain deep in his chest. Tears clouded his eyes. He lost his balance and fell to the floor, writhing in pain.
Master! Fake! It's a fake will!
They said that Catherine held a grudge against you ever since she came to Compshire. When she was doing well, you stood by her side as a person willing to do anything for her, but as soon as she became useless, you abandoned her for the sake of your status and grandchildren.
No! Impossible! It's a lie! This was all done by King Henry. Did he not warn me that he would hang my daughter? Even if Catherine really had committed suicide, couldn't she have been influenced by Henry? How else could Catherine have found out that I had decided to abandon her again if she was confined?
The furious old Duke's blood pressure shot up. He staggered and collapsed back into the armchair.
Damned King Henry! I'll never leave him alone after this. Never!
The atmosphere in Rose's chambers was laden with the burden of her troubles. Her false parents, William and Martha, had come to visit her, and she sat with them in the drawing room. Rose muttered to herself.
More money is what they seek, surely.
She had decided that both Viscount Rothescue and her so-called parents were bloodsuckers draining her wealth. But today they were showing concern. Whether it was real or feigned, Rose was not sure.
Is it true that His Majesty doesn't want to let you see the princess?
You're the mother. How can he not let you see the baby?
Martha's words only stoked Rose's anxiety, but the couple's concern touched her. It had been a long time since anyone had comforted her or took her side. Tears overflowed as if a dam had collapsed. After a long cry, Rose sobbed and whispered,
It's all because of the future concubine, Schuyler. If it weren't for that girl, His Majesty would have no reason to suddenly turn away from me.
Oh, that's true. A person in love becomes blind.
Rose collapsed into her false mother's arms, glancing up to examine their faces to see if there was any indication they already knew Schuyler might be the lost daughter they were searching for. Instead, they talked about how ordinary she was. Far from considering that she was their real daughter, their words were full of anger and rejection. Rose felt relieved. It seemed there was no instinctive connection to Schuyler through blood ties. Yet she couldn't take it lightly. Just as Viscount Rothescue had discovered the truth about Schuyler, so could they. Especially with their reintroduction into high society, one could never know how long it would last.
I don't want that girl to stay in the Imperial Palace any longer.
She took out a handkerchief, wiping her eyes.
Don't worry, Rose. The girl is not a competent sorcerer. Sooner or later, His Majesty will lose interest in her.
After they left, Rose let out a deep sigh, returning to bed and opening her calendar to see how much time was left in her 1-year stint as queen. Within that time, she had to win back Aldrich's heart and reclaim her baby. Otherwise, she would never see her daughter again.
No matter how difficult the situation is, I always pull through. This time too. I have to pull through.
She mulled over her myriad challenges, dealing with Schuyler, reclaiming her daughter, winning back Aldrich's heart,
managing her real father, and handling the scribe. Just then, Kaya returned.
Your Majesty, a young man named Alan Rothescue wants to see you. He has a child with him.
Rose jumped to her feet, almost screaming at Alan's seeming madness. However, Kaya's mention of the child silenced her.
Okay, let him in.
Alan entered with a small child in his arms. Rose closed the door to the drawing room and looked disdainfully at him.
How shameless. Why did you come here?
Rose,
Am I a friend of yours? Call me your Majesty.
I had some business to attend to at the Imperial Palace, so I decided to take the opportunity to stop by so you could see your son.
What business?
Nothing important. Rose looked disdainfully at his innocent expression and held out her hands.
Give him to me.
Alan nervously removed his hat and handed his son to Rose. She looked at the baby's face, feeling a strange sensation at seeing one so similar to the princess.
What's his name?
Isidore. His name is Isidore. Rose turned her attention back to the child's face. She felt a tingle in her heart, cold sweat running down her back, and her arms tensing. Alan was stunned at her touched expression. I actually came to ask you something, Rose.
I told you not to address me that way.
Rose, Isidore is also your child.
To you, I am your Majesty.
Isidore is the first child of the Queen. The first child of the Queen of Elisaria. Isn't it pitiful that he lives like a bastard child? Doesn't he at least deserve to be treated like a noble? It is wretched for Isidore to live like a bastard while his younger sister lives like a princess. Rose did not answer, but her eyes were filled with fear.
After the demise of the former queen, Catherine, whose lingering influence cast a long shadow, a tranquil calm settled upon the world. Warmth filled the air, and the scent of cornflowers enveloped every corner. The noble's garments gradually shifted to lighter and more colourful hues, mirroring the vibrant flowers in the gardens. Henry devoted his days to learning magic flow from Bjorn. Meanwhile, I delved into children's books, parenting guides, and piano playing. Despite occasional thoughts of Catherine, the days remained generally tranquil. One evening, following a visit to the capital, Henry broached the idea of a banquet.
I think we should organize a banquet to celebrate the pregnancy. What do you think, my queen?
Unpleasant memories of Aldrich's banquet for Rose resurfaced, and I reflexively voiced my objection. Henry, your birthday party is not far off. Organizing a banquet now would burden the attendees. Undeterred, Henry massaged my shoulders, insisting.
Then we'd better organize a simple banquet.
All right, fine.
Until then, my queen, just relax. Listen to music and go to the theatre.
I smiled, though I felt something was amiss. Henry's uncontainable happiness hinted at a hidden agenda.
Aldrich, seething with anger, spat out curses. Crumpling the invitation from the King of the Celestial Isles, with a forceful toss, he cast it aside. The balled-up invitation bounced off the wall and rolled across the floor. Aldrich closed his eyes, audibly snorting, his rage blurring his vision. Does he expect me to go congratulate Bronwyn on her pregnancy? He dares to ask me for advice as a father who has experienced his wife's pregnancy and childbirth. He's a bloody lunatic. Henry's invitation, penned as if they were lifelong friends, was clearly nothing more than mockery. Aldrich, grinding his teeth, kicked the discarded invitation across the floor. The king foresaw the consequences of attending such an event. While a national wedding might be considered a state affair, A king gracing a banquet in honor of another ruler's future child was unconventional, to say the least. The bitter truth weighed heavily. No one who saw me attend the banquet would think Elisaria and the Celestial Isles were on very good terms. No, they'd scoff and point fingers behind my back, insinuating that King Aldrich still harbors feelings for his ex-wife. What stung the most was the undeniable truth in that accusation.
Your Majesty.
Baron Lant's voice interrupted Aldrich's solitude, calling from behind the closed door.
Come in. What is it?
Baron Lant entered, firmly shutting the door behind him.
I heard that Alan Rothescue has been to visit the Queen.
Aldrich's eyebrows shot up, and, surprisingly, he burst into laughter. Baron Lant wore an uncomfortable expression, acknowledging the truth.
He brought their son to her.
Naturally.
And afterwards, she went to visit Duke Elegy. She was seen crying in his arms.
The grin was wiped off Aldrich's face just then, and his mind raced with thoughts of conspiracy. If the father of Rosa's first child was Alan, did she confess what was happening to Duke Elegy so that he would comfort her? Is it also possible that her current lover was the real father of the princess? He forcefully shook off the growing anxiety. No, the timing does not make sense. It is absurd. Could there be a third man? I don't like this. Aldrich began to shake.
Your Majesty, are you all right?
I never thought a year could be so long. It may seem like Rose doesn't understand the implications of her behavior, but I think she just doesn't really care. He sat heavily into his chair. Leave me. After Baron Lant left, Aldrich picked up Henry's invitation, smoothed it out, read it again, and crushed it once more. He became lost in fantasy about the child he could have shared with Bronwyn. Bronwyn's child. The child that could have been mine.
Henry had mastered the arcane art of magic flow from Grand Duke Bjorn after enduring days of relentless boredom. I had been growing impatient, though I tried to hide it as best I could, and begged Henry to teach me what he had learned. Yet Henry cautiously dismissed my urgency.
Not yet, my queen.
Why?
I just learned it. It's dangerous.
Wouldn't it be more dangerous if you forgot it over time? I frowned at Henry, but he was unwavering in prioritizing my safety, and responded with a smile.
I have found someone to test my skills on. You and I will practice together when I know it's safe.
Oh dear.
Are you upset?
I was tired of this game, and instead of responding, I picked up my book.
My queen.
What do you want? In response to my curt coldness, Henry shrunk away, and we went to bed in silence for the first time since we were married.
It's almost time for him to arrive. Henry nodded at Haxon, and they kept their eyes fixed on the garden gates. As Marquise Kerridge entered, Henry maintained a stern posture, focusing his gaze on the Marquis's weakened demeanor. Betray your uncle. Marquise Kerridge, taken aback, tried to comprehend the sudden proposal. Your Majesty, what are you saying? I'm offering you mercy. I suggest you take it. Old Duke Kerridge sold his daughter to cover up his own crimes. He leaned in closer. I'm giving you a chance to change sides. What are your uncle's weaknesses?
His weakness is his 2 grandchildren.
A smile played on Henry's lips. I see. He loves them so much that he didn't mind sacrificing his own daughter.
What else do you want?
Your body. Haxon dropped his papers in astonishment, while Marquis Kerridge recoiled in disbelief.
What?
The room fell into a heavy silence as the implications of Henry's words hung in the air. Marquis Kerridge's eyes widened, unable to fathom the shocking request. I need your body. For a secret experiment. It is a small price to pay for the safety of your family and yourself. Haxon, still recovering from his initial shock, couldn't believe the audacity of the king's demand. He exchanged a bewildered glance with Marquis Kerridge, who was grappling with the weight of the proposition.
Your Majesty, this is unthinkable. I cannot sacrifice my dignity for your whims.
Dignity, Marquis. In a world tainted by deceit and betrayal, dignity becomes a luxury. I assure you, your body will serve a higher purpose. Haxon, driven by a mix of disbelief and concern, gathered his scattered papers.
Your Majesty, this is highly irregular and morally questionable. I must express my concerns.
Morality has no place in the pursuit of power, Haxon. Sometimes sacrifices must be made for the greater good. Marquis Kerridge, sensing the gravity of the situation, mustered the courage to respond.
Your Majesty, I cannot comply with such a request. I am willing to offer information, but my body is not at your disposal.
Stubborn, aren't we? Consider your options carefully, Marquis. Your family's fate hangs in the balance. A tense atmosphere lingered. Haxon, torn between loyalty and the unsettling reality before him, felt a growing sense of unease. The game of power was unraveling in ways he hadn't anticipated, and the consequences were becoming increasingly dire.
All right. I'll give you my body.
Very good, Marquis.
Deep in contemplation, I pondered my recent interactions with Henry. The guilt of treating him coldly weighed on me, especially considering the escalating frequency of my mood swings and random cravings. I sat in the dimly lit room, contemplating the day's events. Countess Julia entered, breaking the silence. Your Majesty, I have heard whispers about your disagreements with King Henry. Is everything all right? I sighed, feeling the weight of the day on my shoulders. I think I treated Henry more coldly than I should have. Pregnancy can be quite challenging, Your Majesty. I glanced away, deep in thought. Do you ever fight with your husband? Of course. I can't stand to see his face. I'm sure it's mutual. We both cracked up then, sharing the knowledge of what it was like to be a wife. Marriage was not easy. Suddenly, Matilda entered, poking Cedrica in the back. Ouch! What'd you poke me with? Why'd you hit me all the time? Now we were all laughing, all except Cedrica, of course. I tried to dismiss the comment with a smile, but deep down the concerns about Henry lingered. I tried to shake it off, knowing that I just had to express myself properly while looking him in the eye. To my surprise, at that moment, Haxon entered. Yes, Haxon, is everything all right?
Can we speak in private?
Yes, excuse us, ladies. My ladies in waiting scurried out, disappointed that they were about to miss whatever I was about to learn.
Your Majesty, what I will tell you now must be kept absolutely secret. Can you promise me that?
I nodded, curious about the unexpected disclosure.
His Majesty Henry made a strange request to Marquis Kerridge.
A strange request.
Henry told him he wanted his body. At first, I couldn't understand what he meant. After that, His Majesty Henry told me to leave the garden because it was hard to concentrate.
What in the world?
Your Majesty, do you know what it means?
Haxton's eyes searched mine, seeking understanding. Connecting the dots, I nodded, realizing Henry's intention. Earlier, Henry told me that he needed someone to test his magic control on. He must want to practice on the Marquis. I appreciate you telling me about it. Now I can happily wait for Henry. Mischievous joy coloured my words, surprising Haxton.
Happily?
I sighed, contemplating the ethical dilemma. I'm sorry, Haxton, but you shouldn't be so surprised. His Majesty is doing this for me.
I don't understand. Why is he testing magic for the Queen?
I just want to learn something new, Haxton.
Are you all right?
I am, and I will be even more powerful. Haxton rushed to the door, a sense of urgency in his movements. He seemed almost afraid of me. Will you help me learn as well, Haxton?
Your Majesty, I'm not sure if I can be of help. This is a path filled with unknowns.
We are living in a world full of unknowns. Embracing them is the key to progress.
You are right, Your Majesty. I'll do my best to assist you in your endeavours.
Thank you, Haxton. Now let's keep this secret between us. No need to create unnecessary rumours.
Yes, Your Majesty. Now, I must go. Please excuse me.
As Haxton left, I felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. The path to power was unfolding before me, and I was determined to tread it with grace and wisdom. I had made the right-hand man of the king afraid. I chuckled to myself. I supposed Haxton had expected me to react in shock and disgust at Henry's actions. We did have an alliance, an agreement that we would come to each other when things seemed amiss. But he did not know that this was one event that I was part of. I would stand by Henry. I would stand by my empire. And I would stand by my powers.
My queen?
Henry, I'm sorry about what happened earlier. I treated you so coldly.
You don't have to apologize. I'm the one who should apologize for not expressing myself better. Besides, you spoke calmly even though you were angry. You didn't lose your temper.
Our apologies were transformed into shared laughter as we let our worries fade away. It was a testament to Henry's calming presence.
Well, my queen, I think I can safely help teach you the flow of magic now.
Really?
Yes, I'm sure. I've run some tests and worked out all of the issues.
As excitement filled the air, a moment of hesitation gripped me. Would Henry reveal the involvement of Marquis Kerridge in his experiments? Would Haxton get in trouble if I spoke up? But before I could decide, I was overwhelmed with excitement about the magic I would soon possess. I took a step towards Henry. Is kissing also part of the procedure?
It is.
Is it absolutely necessary?
Yes. Otherwise, you will never become powerful.
Oh, really? Where did you learn that? Henry gave me a sly grin.
I taught it to myself.
He touched my hand and began kissing it all over. You fill me with such heat.
And you turn me to ice.
You must be more careful with your actions, Your Majesty.
What did I do? Currently everyone picks on me, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Rose sat with her arms crossed, huffing and puffing at the injustice of being told how to behave by Baron Lant.
Didn't you go to see Duke Elegy?
Yes, I met with him. Duke Elegy is the only one who cares for me and isn't swayed by rumors. I can't even see a friend.
Your Majesty, in today's pamphlet, in the Commoner's pamphlet, there was an article in which it was stated that the Queen and Duke Elegy had frequent meetings alone.
Baron Lant fixed Rose with a piercing gaze, his words laden with ominous warning. Rose clutched her fists, her frustration boiling over.
His Majesty doesn't comfort me. Why shouldn't I seek comfort from someone else?
Someone in your position cannot afford such luxuries.
You lie. The Queen of Elisaria can have lovers if she wants to. It's ridiculous that I can't meet a friend in such a country. It makes no sense.
Baron Lant, unyielding, reminded Rose of the reality she was trapped in.
Your Majesty is in a different situation than other queens. After the king forcibly divorced Bronwyn, whom everyone trusted, your Majesty Rose ascended to the position of queen. The marriage came about because of the fairy tale love story between your Majesty Rose and His Majesty Aldrich.
Rose, overwhelmed with frustration, clenched her fist and banged it down on the table. Baron Lant jumped in surprise.
What am I supposed to do? Aldrich was the one who brought another concubine here. Aldrich is the one who is keeping me away from my daughter. And Aldrich is the one who treats me coldly.
Dark thoughts consumed Rose as she grappled with the perceived injustice. She believed that she had done nothing wrong. If Aldrich had not brought another concubine, if he had not taken her away from her daughter, and if he had not treated her coldly, there would be no whispers. The weight of the situation intensified as Rose reflected on the unfounded rumors.
My friendship with Duke Elegy is the same as it was before. Isn't it strange that false rumors started to spread as soon as I lost Aldrich's favor? It's his fault.
But Julian, the troublesome scribe, added another layer of complexity to Rose's woes.
I must find a way to deal with that scribe.
Julian had deviously spun tales of secret meetings between Rose and Duke Elegy, pretending to be on her side while crafting a deceptive narrative. His articles, seemingly praising her, revealed a sinister agenda, especially in how he spoke about Beatrice. The princess was born prematurely, but she is a healthy baby girl. The mention of the premature birth right after Rose's secret meetings with Elegy were meant to raise suspicions. His intentions were glaringly clear.
This is exhausting.
Rose excused herself from her chambers to get some fresh air. There were too many thoughts swimming through her mind. It was all too much. She kept her head down to keep from being seen, and was lucky enough to overhear some chatter.
Are you going to the banquet to celebrate Bronwyn's pregnancy?
Rose's eyes widened. Could she have heard this correctly?
I don't know yet. I've heard a rumor that infertility was the reason Aldrich divorced Bronwyn, but it appears that was false. There are many false rumors. Wasn't King Henry said to be a famous playboy? If it were true, would he have been so attentive to Bronwyn?
Rose swallowed hard and stopped walking after she was out of sight of the women. Her heart raced in a different way than before. Her whole body began to itch as an unpleasant feeling came over her.
How could she be pregnant? And does she actually have a good relationship with King Henry? This is absurd. It makes no sense.
Inside her clenched fist, fingernails dug into her flesh and hot blood trickled from her wounds. The tip of her nose burned with resentment.
Why am I suffering so much? Did she dump everything bad in her life on me and leave to make a happy home? I can't even see my daughter's face while Bronwyn is happily pregnant.
Rose angrily stomped the grass beneath her.
Actually, I was the woman Prince Henry fell in love with first. I should have paid him attention when he stared at me.
She knew where to go when she came up with a sinister plan. She would visit her most reliable friend, Duke Elegy.
Hello, Duke Elegy.
Oh, don't you look well? Come in.
How would you feel if someone you had a bad relationship with became happy?
Not very pleased.
It's the same for me. A woman I hate dumped her misfortunes on me and is living happily. I don't like that.
Rose spoke vaguely and pointed to the large suitcase behind Duke Elegy.
Where are you going?
I'm going to visit the Celestial Isles for a while.
Why?
She worriedly approached Duke Elegy, gently gripping a corner of his suit with both hands.
Will you abandon me?
I'll just be gone for a while. I want to see Henry.
Why?
I want to congratulate him on his first child. Rose's expression darkened. Her insides felt like they were twisting into a knot. Are you not attending the banquet? Oh, you must have been invited.
It's not that I don't want to. I recently have not been treated like a queen, even in Elisaria. Would I be treated well in another country?
Every country should treat its distinguished guests with the utmost courtesy. Truth be told, Rose did not want to see Bronwyn flaunt her happiness, but she wanted to see King Henry one more time. She believed King Henry had been interested in her back then, but she was so obsessed with King Aldrich that she pretended not to notice. In the end, Henry married Bronwyn. Now that Rose's situation had changed, she thought another outcome might suit her better. She wanted to test the waters and find out whether Henry was still interested in her or not.
On second thought, there's no reason not to go.
Excellent. Then, shall we go together? Meanwhile, old Duke Kerridge had summoned his grandchildren to disclose the tragic tale of their Aunt Catherine.
Your aunt took her own life for the family's sake, for your future. You must excel in your studies and become remarkable individuals to fortify our lineage and avenge your aunt. Do you comprehend?
Although Catherine did not willingly sacrifice herself for these children, it was for their sake that old Duke Kerridge had disowned Catherine. Even though he had to relinquish his daughter, he desired his grandchildren to honor and recall Catherine's sacrifice with dignity. Or rather, he did it because his daughter had been too pitiful in the end. To his surprise, the two children displayed annoyance.
Why do you both wear such expressions?
My friends mock me because of my aunt. They say she was a liar.
What?
I heard that my aunt was in love with the king and made the queen angry, and that's what led to her confinement in Compshire. What sacrifice did she make for us?
Do you believe such absurdities?
Yes. What do I care if my aunt took her own life? My aunt is my father's sister, not mine.
Impertinent child!
Angry at Baldwin's words, old Duke Kerridge slapped him across the cheek.
Grandpa, why did you hit him? My brother didn't say anything wrong. Even if it's true that my aunt died for us, that was her choice. You didn't ask her to do it.
You are heartless. Your aunt held birthday parties for you at the royal palace, invited your friends over to play, organized events just for the children, and gave you all kinds of gifts. What need did your aunt have to do all that? How can you be so cruel?
Just then, a sharp cry was heard through the open door.
Oh, my father-in-law!
When the Duke turned around, he saw Delia, his daughter-in-law, and the children's mother, approaching in disgust. She was soon at her children's side.
Why did you hit Baldwin? He's right. Because of Catherine, we are in a terrible position. There will be a banquet in celebration of the first child of the royal family, and neither my husband nor I were invited. The other nobles mock us every time they see us. It's all because of Catherine.
Nonsense! Thanks to my daughter, you held your head high with pride for years. But now that she's dead, you're not on her side because others mock you.
Isn't it natural to be on someone's side only when it's useful?
Delia!
Delia coldly glared at the old Duke and walked out with the two children.
Those children, how can they be like that?
Certainly, Catherine did not sacrifice herself voluntarily. However, he had sacrificed his daughter for the sake of his grandchildren, and his daughter died desolate from abandonment.
How could I choose to save them instead of my daughter?
The old Duke gasped for breath and clutched his chest. The butler hurried to seat the old Duke in a nearby armchair. He gripped the armrests tightly and gasped repeatedly.
If I hadn't given in to that damned king's demands for the sake of those two children, I would have managed to keep my daughter alive. Even if the family collapsed, I would have been able to protect her.
Tears streamed down the old Duke's cheeks, and his sobs echoed through the home.
The day of the banquet had finally come. Due to the abrupt nature of the event, responses from the guests remained unknown. The attendance of the nearby nobles was expected, but the influx of foreign guests surprised everyone, including the unexpected presence of Marquis Faring. He jested as he embraced my brother.
How strange to run into you here, Oscar.
As I approached, Marquis Faring addressed me with a complicated expression.
Your Majesty, how have you been?
I am well, Marquis Faring. I am being taken care of by my husband.
I have felt lonely in Elysaria since your Majesty Bronwyn left.
My brother, with a deadpan expression, stared at Marquis Faring. The Marquis, feigning embarrassment, quickly covered his mouth, attempting to mask his true emotions.
Did I say something wrong? I don't want you to be so friendly with my sister. Can I not even talk? I'm just a friendly person. Are you jealous? Oh, you don't want to lose me, am I right? Why don't you just shut your mouth? Good advice.
The banter subsided, and my brother laughed, placing a hand on Marquis Faring's shoulder. Witnessing their rare camaraderie, I couldn't help but smile. Meanwhile, Henry engaged in conversation with Duke Elegy, secluded from the rest. Puzzled, I wondered about the mysterious exchange between them.
Why hasn't your Majesty done anything lately? I feel like I'm doing the work alone.
What are you saying, Elegy? You aren't even doing the work directly.
Even so, I'm doing more than your Majesty. Why don't you help at all anymore?
I can't get involved.
Is it because of Queen Bronwyn?
Henry glanced over at me, surrounded by my friends from Elysaria. He intently watched my every move, the subtle motion of my neck with each laugh, the strands of my hair swaying gracefully, and my eyes curving into crescents when I smiled. He was enamored.
It is my queen's home country. It would not have been easy to win a life-and-death war against Elysaria. Even if we were to win, we wouldn't be able to destroy it. Although we could reduce the number of sorcerers that would emerge in the future, the same isn't true for the number of current powerful sorcerers. Even this has been hindered so it isn't as effective as before.
Isn't your goal the conquest of Elisaria?
That was in the past. My queen loves Elisaria, loves her people, and loves her friends. Besides, my queen's family has its roots in Elisaria. It's a territory they have cared about for generations.
That is true.
No matter what the reason for the war, if Elisaria isn't completely destroyed, there would be records. Historians would say that my queen, who became the queen of the neighboring country, plunged her old country into the war for revenge. In fact, all countries would say the same, except the Celestial Isles. I don't want my queen to receive such a stigma.
So, have you decided to quit?
I don't know yet.
It's okay. Do whatever you want. I won't lose my share anyway.
Do you really intend to continue?
Oh yes, things are working out quite well. There's no reason for me to quit now.
As soon as Duke Elegy finished speaking, a woman in a white dress that swayed as she walked entered the front door. The white dress sparkled under the chandelier light.
It's Queen Rose of Elisaria.
The official in charge of announcing the entrance of the guests named Rose in a loud voice. The corners of Duke Elegy's lips turned up.
The time is coming to reap the fruits of my labor.
I was chatting with Princess Astrid from the Southern Kingdom, who unexpectedly came all the way here. Suddenly, Princess Astrid averted her gaze and murmured as she placed her hand on her forehead, "I thought she wouldn't dare come." As I followed her gaze, Rose entered the hall. Her eyes immediately shifted to me. However, it wasn't just that. As soon as she saw me, she approached without hesitation. Once she stopped in front of me, Rose smiled broadly and opened her mouth to speak. "I hear you're pregnant. Congratulations, Queen Bronwyn." Princess Astrid turned her head with a disdainful sneer. She had only seen Rose as a concubine, trying to imitate me. She did not want to acknowledge her current position. In fact, I didn't want to see Rose either. "Yes, thank you," I replied curtly with a smile, and those aware of the strained relationship between myself and Rose watched with bated breath. I looked at Rose in silence. Now that she congratulated me, I was curious as to what she really wanted to do. She would probably give me a gift. In the past, she didn't like that I gave her a decorative sword, so she may have brought a gift that I too would dislike. She spoke her next words as if she read my mind. "I brought you a gift." The gift Rose held out to me didn't turn out to be one I hated. "It looks familiar to me." It was actually the exact same decorative sword I had gifted her. Rose was giving it back to me. "Isn't life amazing?" The corners of her eyes curved into a crescent shape, and her voice was very sweet. Rose pretended that she had no bad intentions. But if what she really wanted from me was to make me angry, she wouldn't get it. "Thank you for giving it back." I accepted her gift with a smile, and deliberately chose the words, "give it back." Then I spoke softly, so only Rose could hear. "I never wanted to give you anything of mine." Rose's expression stiffened, but I paid no attention. A chilling tension permeated the opulent hall as Rose, seemingly eager to escape, cast a frigid glance at me before turning away. After she distanced herself considerably, Princess Astrid, who had discreetly concealed herself behind Cedrica, cautiously returned to my side and inquired, "I disliked her before, but now I dislike her even more. Don't you think her mood has changed a little? She looks colder, more powerful. In the past, she always tried to appear helpless and pitiful. I've heard that unfortunate events have unfolded in Elisaria. Perhaps that has changed her demeanour." Lost in thought, Marquis Faring interjected.
Your Majesty, did you see the gift King Aldrich sent you?
While seemingly engaged with my brother, his attention was clearly tuned in to our conversation. He sent me a small chariot through Grand Duke Villa. Observing Rose's distant departure, I noticed she was heading in Henry's direction. As I spoke, I couldn't help but keep my eyes on her. She was up to something, as usual. A small racing chariot of the highest quality. Marquis Faring shook his head.
No, I don't mean the gift he sent you through Grand Duke Villa.
I was distracted by Rose until he said this, but now he had my full attention. He sent another gift.
Yes, he sent a girl named Simone. No, that's not it. Serena? No, that's not it either. Skylar.
The unexpected name caught my attention, diverting my gaze from Rose. Skylar. Are you sure?
Hasn't she arrived yet?
Are you sure it's Skylar? She should be at the Magical Academy. Upon my query, Marquis Faring described some of Skylar's features. As soon as I confirmed that she seemed to be the same Skylar I knew, he said with a cocked head,
She left around the same time I did, so she should have arrived by now. I thought she would come to see you immediately. Where else could she have gone? It's strange.
She could have gotten lost.
I don't think so. If she came as a gift from Aldrich, she would not come alone.
A sense of unease crept in. Did she encounter bandits or robbers on the way here? Did the carriage break down? In any case, worry consumed me. Eventually, I ordered an investigation into the situation, alerting the servants that one of the guests had not arrived.
She'll be fine, Your Majesty.
Marquis Faring offered his reassurance, but the unsettling feeling persisted. Contrary to his assurances, Skylar did not make an appearance that night, nor the next morning, nor in the days that followed. Fear began to grip me, a gnawing worry that something untoward had befallen her. Skylar was conspicuously absent, even at the conclusion of the banquet. As I sat down to dinner with the remaining distinguished guests in the Imperial Palace, my thoughts were consumed by concern for Skylar. Dinner became a mere backdrop, my attention elsewhere. Amidst the murmurs and clinking of silverware, laughter pierced through the air. However, instead of comforting, it only worsened my mood. The laughter belonged to Rose.
Of course. What are the odds that you are seated not next to your wife, but next to me?
I looked at who she was speaking to, and saw my husband. She had her hand on his shoulder, as if they were the closest of friends. The more I listened to her, the more apparent it became that the laughter was not the issue. What nonsense was she spouting?
Then Queen Bronwyn and I are in opposite positions, right?
Every word she uttered seemed nonsensical, reminiscent of her perpetual demeanour. Despite Henry's repeated denials, Rose laughed, treating it as mere jest, persisting in her absurd assertions. His expression darkened with each passing second, and then she leaned in, and his expression changed. A small smile appeared on his face. What in the world could she have said?
You say some strange things, Queen Rose.
Even if you don't want to admit it, you know I speak the truth, King Henry.
I presume you always equate your assumptions with the truth.
You are wicked, and so am I. We share that in common.
Queen Rose?
I just like to talk about the old days. What's wrong with that?
I watched, mouth agape, as Henry and Rose spoke during dinner. I could make out some of what they were saying, and I could not look away as much as I wanted to. I was filled with anxiety. I trusted Henry, but I didn't trust Rose. And I thought anyone under her spell was in danger of being hurt, or truthfully, of hurting me. His usual bluntness seemed absent. Why did he allow Rose to continue spouting nonsense?
Don't you remember the letters, Your Majesty?
Ah, yes, the letters. Henry seemed reluctant to speak firmly to Rose, likely fearing she would divulge our past correspondences. If news of our letters before the divorce surfaced, it would be fodder for my enemies. Accusations of an affair with Henry could tarnish my reputation.
Your Majesty, Henry, the letters do not lie. Although now Your Majesty only has eyes for Queen Bronwyn, before it seemed that you favoured me.
Her nerve knew no bounds. Henry pressed his fingers into his temples and sighed, facing Rose with a face devoid of a plan, contemplating what to say in this precarious situation. I could hold my tongue no longer. Queen Rose, you're obsessed with my husbands. Or are you just obsessed with me?
In another part of the kingdom, Julian was hard at work to publish the latest news of the kingdom. However, he was interrupted by a fellow scribe who fired off a barrage of questions.
When did you start to be interested in this? At first, you weren't interested at all in nobility, court gossip, and so on.
Despite the scribe's persistence, Julian remained silent.
Oh, come on, we're friends.
I was always interested, but not enough to write articles about it.
So, how did an interest you kept quiet suddenly become so definite? How?
Why are you so curious?
Everyone is, not just me.
His colleague had a twinkle in his eye.
It's surprising that you suddenly revealed such an interest in nobility, high society parties, gossip, and so on. But what's more surprising is that you spread all kinds of rumours as soon as you revealed that interest. You are now the most famous scribe in Elysaria. Don't you know that?
Julian's articles about Queen Rose had gained immense popularity, stoking public anger against her.
Are you really not going to tell me how this happened?
A high-status noble provides me with the information.
A high-status noble? Really? A high-status noble tells you the gossip of high society?
Yes.
Do you trust that person?
I would be a fool to trust them.
How can you write such damaging articles if you don't trust that person?
Don't worry, I don't trust the high-status noble who provides me with the information, but I'm sure that noble detests the same person I do.
Who is that noble?
Instead of answering, Julian stood up. Will Queen Rose return to the palace this afternoon? I am working on another story. At that moment, a carriage carrying Rose arrived at the royal palace. She arrived content, humming happily. She held a doll tightly and stroked it, looking into its eyes. Reflecting on her visit to the Celestial Isles, she found joy and satisfaction, a rare feeling for her.
I can understand that King Henry is no longer in love with me. I deserve it because I was the one who rejected him first.
Despite minor troubles, she brushed them off, comparing them to the suffering in Elysaria.
The polite attitude of the Celestial Isles people made me feel respected.
The carriage entered the royal palace, and for a moment, Rose wished she had stayed in the Celestial Isles.
Wouldn't it be better to be treated as a distinguished guest than a forgotten queen here?
But as the carriage entered the garden of the Western Palace, her mood shifted.
But that would mean Aldrich would be free to see other women. I would not like that.
Her excitement waned as she saw Alan at the entrance of the Western Palace, holding Isidore like a weapon.
Why is he here? Did he come to make that absurd demand again? Did he forget my words?
The carriage stopped, and Rose observed Alan and Isidore through the window. "Your Majesty?"
What are you doing here?
I only came." Alan hugged his son, who remained silent. Rose was grateful that the child was not attracting so much attention this time.
Let's talk inside.
Rose couldn't throw him out, at the risk of drawing too much attention, so she hurriedly walked ahead. As she walked, she heard a strange screeching noise. She looked up to see a large bird that seemed to be carrying something. It had a letter tied around its leg. She continued along towards the Western Palace, Alan and Isidore close behind her, when the large bird suddenly swooped down.
Oh no!
Startled, Alan waved his hand at the creature, but it wasn't frightened. It only spread its wings and came even closer. Isidore, trembling with fear, clung to his father. The bird suddenly flew away, but not without knocking the hat off of Isidore's head. "Ah!" Rose ran after the hat, but by the time she grabbed it, all of the nobles were staring, not just at her, but also at the child.
Skylar. The young sorceress was found a few days after most of the guests had left. By the time she was brought to the palace, things once again felt quiet. Once her carriage stopped in the courtyard, Skylar stepped out, appearing weak. She had grown up much since the last time I saw her, yet she was thinner and had paler skin than when she was in the orphanage. "Your Majesty, I'm glad to see you again after such a long time." She stumbled as she tried to bow. "Please, Skylar, no need for that. Guard, please take her to my room." As she followed the guard, my attention turned to the knights who found her. They belonged to the 5th Division of the Supranational Knights, under the command of Viscount Langdale. "The girl who greeted me a moment ago, where did you find her?"
She was lost in the Moon Forest.
"The Moon Forest, near the path from Elisaria to the Celestial Isles, harbored dense woods and treacherous terrain."
There were also some knights and envoys from Elisaria.
A carriage, a missing wheel, had been pulled from behind the green carriage from the Celestial Isles, which Skylar had disembarked from. Were the rescued people in that carriage originally?
That's right. When we found them, the carriage was broken down. Escaping the Moon Forest isn't easy, and they were burdened with luggage, hoping for rescue.
They must have endured a harrowing time.
Yes, but there's something peculiar. Oh, look at the carriage. Isn't one side completely wrecked? Yet everyone emerged unharmed. It looks like magic.
Was there a sorcerer in the group?
Not officially. When I asked, no one stepped forward.
I pondered to myself. Didn't Skylar lose her magic? It would be splendid if she had recovered it. First of all, scrutinize the identity of the rescued people and their positions inside the carriage. The culprit might be among them.
"Yes, Your Majesty."
As the knight turned to his comrades to execute my orders, Henry approached, questioning as if he had overheard.
My queen, are you certain the culprit is among them?
Although I was taken aback that Aldrich sent Skylar, it's implausible for him to dispatch a delegation without ensuring the carriage's condition.
He may have forgotten.
He was the worst as a husband, but a king, he was never careless. He would have been meticulous, not only in inspecting the carriage, but also preparing 2 or 3 spare wheels to take along. Someone deliberately damaged it. Presumably the one who sat the farthest from the damaged side is the culprit. As I spoke, I noticed Henry's expression was not favourable. He appeared somewhat melancholic. Henry? Why did he wear that expression? He covered his face, rubbing his numb eyes with his thumbs, muttering.
I don't like it when my queen says nice things about him.
Did it sound like a compliment? I didn't mean it with that intent. I merely suggested it couldn't have been a mistake regarding the carriage, given his personality. However, Henry just nodded and repeatedly rubbed his forehead against his shoulder. Henry, it's undignified for the king to do this publicly. Once I murmured in concern, he reluctantly stopped. Still, he pouted his lips. I sighed and kissed him gently on the cheek. Just like that, his sad expression was gone. Do you often use this tactic with other women?
My queen?
This was the reaction I anticipated. Henry lowered his hands, turning to me, abandoning the guise of weakness. Like a leopard who had been mimicking a cat. He was a sly one. I scoffed and pulled away. I'm off to see Skylar. Upon reaching my room, I was informed that Skylar was with my ladies-in-waiting. Laura was combing Skylar's hair in front of the dressing table. Skylar was now dressed beautifully, with her hair braided, yet she appeared embarrassed by her appearance. Skylar. Upon uttering her name as I approached, Skylar jumped up with a lively countenance. Your Majesty. From the way Laura laughed, it seemed she found amusement in the company of Skylar, who was almost her own age. Even in Elisaria, Laura had always engaged with young ladies her own age for entertainment. I'll fetch something to drink. Once Laura left, Skylar walked over to me, grabbing my hands and bowed. I heard it was your Majesty who sent the knights to find us. Thank you. I always receive help from your Majesty. No need to express gratitude. Tell me what happened. All of it. I beckoned for Skylar to sit down again, observing her discomfort standing. Pulling up another chair, I seated myself across from her. She still looked uneasy and attempted to rise. You must be exhausted after all you've endured. Feel free to remain seated. But that would be impolite. Don't worry about that. As I discouraged Skylar from rising, Laura presented a revitalizing fruit juice. She hesitated upon receiving the drink, but eventually eased. She took a few sips and began recounting the situation. His Majesty Aldrich tasked me with delivering a gift to you. He entrusted it to me as a personal offering, distinct from the official gifts. On our journey here, one side of the carriage suddenly collapsed. Good heavens. Subsequently, we disembarked to find our way back. It wasn't easy. The carriage held official gifts for the Queen, precious and burdensome. Still, we assisted one another as we endeavored to navigate the dense forest. Fortunately, the knights arrived promptly. That's a relief. It's all thanks to your Majesty. Was anyone injured? Did you heal them? I didn't know if Skylar could heal with her magic. Even when I helped finance her studies, I was only informed that she had been admitted to the Magical Academy. I didn't know anything about her magical abilities. Many sorcerers kept that a secret, so I never asked. However, now that I had my own abilities, things were a little different. Anyway, I wasn't too curious about what kind of magic Skylar used. What I wanted to know most was whether she had recovered her abilities. Though I thought she would answer without hesitation, she remained silent, with her eyes cast down. Skylar? Her face blushed, and she clasped her hands together nervously. While I wanted to know, I also didn't want to push her, so I didn't insist and changed the subject. What kind of personal gift did the King of Elisaria send me? It got a little ruined when the carriage broke down. It's fine. Skylar rose from the chair, squatted down in front of the slightly battered satchel that lay on the floor against the dressing table, and undid the clasp. The satchel opened to reveal a small box wrapped in a handkerchief. The box was dented in one corner. Your Majesty, here you go. I wondered what Aldrich had sent through the girl I used to be a benefactor for. I put the box on the table. I was confused as to why he sent me this. and wasn't sure I should open it. He had already sent several official gifts. One was a small racing chariot sent through Grand Duke Lavilla, and the others I had not yet seen. In any case, they were gifts brought by the delegation that came with Skylar. So what could this be? No matter what it was, I was curious to see it. The other gifts had been given by the king of a neighbouring country. This was clearly a gift from Aldrich to Bronwyn. After I stood pondering for a while, I carefully held the box in my hands and opened it.
Ever since it became public knowledge that Alan, the son of Viscount Rothescue, had a child that looked identical to the Queen, everyone at the royal palace had been discussing it fervently.
He's definitely her son. They're like two peas in a pod.
It's obvious that she cheated on His Majesty so that she could marry him. Isn't that how a swindler acts?
Not only the servants and maids were gossiping. High-status nobles also discussed the child who resembled the princess.
First, we have to find out if that child is the Queen's child.
He must be. That's why that young man went to see the Queen.
A terrible scandal. If this is true, wouldn't her position as Queen be questionable?
These rumours reached Marquis Faring and his followers. Marquis Faring fueled the provocative rumours.
Even though they come from the same womb, it's amazing how much they look alike. Who knows if her first child and the princess are from the same father? All we can say for certain is that they are both hers.
Rumours reached Rose's ears one after another.
What should I do?
Alone in her room, Rose wondered aloud through her tears. She wanted to wait for the rumours to die down, but they only grew louder.
That damned Marquis Faring is trying to destroy me with his filthy mouth.
Despite the spreading rumours, Alan did not step forward to deny them. Even if he did, no one would believe him. Since he kept his mouth shut, the rumours snowballed. The only effort he made was to write her a letter.
People keep coming to the mansion to investigate. Rose, help me.
I should have killed that bastard. I should have taken care of him, not Liliana.
Rose tore the letter to pieces in a rage.
What should I do? What should I do? What should I do? Even in this situation, His Majesty hasn't spoken. Isn't he supposed to quell the rumours for the prince's sake?
Rose racked her brain and finally came up with an answer.
Why not pass the role of society's chew toy to someone else, as I did in the past with Duchess Betha?
But she threw away her own idea as quickly as she came up with it. It would not work now. Back then, this ruse had been made possible by the enormous popularity of Duchess Betha. Currently, such a person did not exist in high society. As time went on, people began to talk that Aldrich should take a paternity test. To Rose's shock, he gave his approval.
If this can put an end to the unfair rumours about the princess and the Queen, of course I will do it.
After this, people began to whisper that Aldrich was also not sure that the princess was his daughter. He had taken advantage of people's doubts so that Rose couldn't refuse.
No!
In the pub, where Marquis Faring learned the news that Aldrich would take the test, a smile spread across his face. That was not the only parental test he wanted the Queen to take. There was still the matter of her parents. The princess waved her little hands as she babbled. Aldrich smiled broadly, pressing the baby's cheeks with his fingers.
My baby. Who's daddy? Who's daddy? Who is Daddy?
Woo-woo-woo!
Viscountess Amelia stared at Aldrich. The king, an affectionate father, frequently visited the princess at the nursery where Amelia had been watching her. He was not as attentive to her as he had been in the past, when he used to take her to his office, but much more so than an ordinary king. At times, Aldrich held the baby, patting her with a somber expression. Other times, tears welled up in his eyes, despite the smile on his face. Aldrich suddenly burst into tears as he held the baby. Amelia looked away, hurriedly leaving the room. Aldrich sobbed in silence, tears spilling down his cheeks, broad shoulders shaking. The baby, oblivious, looked around the room with wide-open eyes. Full of curiosity, everything seemed lovely to her. Aldrich raised his head to examine the baby, attempting to find any resemblance he had to the princess. But once again, he could not find one. Aldrich reached out, carefully fixing the baby's soft hair, which had become tousled. My baby.
Boo-boo!
Princess.
After a few minutes, Aldrich carefully placed her in her splendid cradle and began to rock it gently. Her eyes slowly began to close. A very sweet baby. Not even her personality resembled his. His gaze darkened as he removed his hand from the cradle and walked away. He could not stop wondering if the princess had his blood, though he feared to know the answer. It would be humiliating for the king to initiate a paternity test. Fortunately, that foolish young nobleman named Alan created an opportunity. The paternity test, desired by Aldrich but impossible to request, was demanded by the people. In this scenario, Aldrich only had to state that he was forced to take the paternity test for the sake of the princess and the queen. If it turned out to be true that the princess was not his daughter, he might be seen as a lovesick fool, yet he believed the people of Elysaria would sympathize with him. However, he wanted to believe in Rose one last time. Not in the current Rose, but in the Rose he had wanted to protect. He didn't know what made her change.
She has to be my daughter. Definitely. Definitely. Definitely.
I opened the lid of the box, revealing a light blue jewel that emitted a fairy-like white glow, captivating me. That might be the most beautiful jewel I've ever seen. I sighed and looked at Laura, who was staring at the jewel in awe. I recalled a legend about the fairy tear, a jewel from a fairy who lost her husband and fell into eternal sleep. It was very rare and very precious. What was the point? I asked for this on my last birthday. He agreed, but then he changed his mind. He said, "I'll give it to you when we have our first child." An unknown emotion welled up inside of me. I clenched my fist, putting the jewel back in the box. He has not accepted that I am happy at Henry's side. Why else would he send a jewel that reminds me of our happy days? Skylar, can you return this to King Aldrich? I'm sorry, Your Majesty, but that would put me in a difficult position. His Majesty ordered me to give it to you. She spoke in a weak voice, with her hands clasped tightly as if begging. Being the Queen of the Celestial Isles, I did not mind returning a gift to my ex-husband. But she was a citizen of Elysaria. I had no choice but to let her leave. I would have to get someone else to return the gift. Someone who trusted me to the point that they wouldn't even consider it strange that I was sending something to Aldrich. Someone who would not start rumors. Just then, Laura announced a guest. Grand Duke Bjorn is here, Your Majesty. Now? He walked into the room only a few moments after Skylar had left. What brings you here?
Your Majesty. Are you close to Miss Skylar of Elisaria?
My curiosity quickly turned into concern. I had just had an intense conversation with Skylar, who was hurt on her way here, and now I was being questioned about her by Grand Duke Bjorn, a man who could read minds. Why do you ask about my relationship with Skylar?
Forgive my impoliteness. I came due to Miss Skylar's unsettling thoughts.
Unsettling thoughts?
I normally wish to conceal my mind-reading ability, yet I must confide everything to my beautiful Ice Queen. Elisaria suspects that the Celestial Isles attacked their sorcerers, and that is what is causing the decline in mages.
Indeed.
It seems there's a valid reason for suspicion.
I suddenly remembered the order given by Henry to Haxon, as well as the Dean of the Magic Academy's attitude towards me. It also seemed like Skylar had regained her magic, but had tried to hide that from me.
The matter will not be made public.
My legs weakened, and I sank onto the couch. I felt my countenance darkening. I had tried to pretend not to notice what was going on, but it was at the point that I could no longer ignore what was happening. Grand Duke Bjorn surely did not expect me to react this way, so he put his hand to his forehead.
Should I have remained silent?
No, thank you for alerting me. He left, leaving me deep in contemplation on the couch. I turned to the door and saw Henry standing there. I lacked the strength to rise.
May I enter?
Come in. I leaned back on the couch and closed my eyes. I didn't know how to address him. Should I ask him directly about the sorcerer decline? What if he told me that he wanted to harm my homeland? I felt a heavy pressure in my chest, and then he spoke.
Queen? What does this box contain?
The box. I had forgotten all about it.
Duke Elegy's counsel echoed as Rose, burdened by the controversy surrounding her parentage, paced her room. He had told her that this might happen. When he brought her William and Martha, he had given her a fair warning.
Never agree to a paternity test.
Rose knew she was in a bind, facing societal judgment as she contemplated her next move. The people of Elisaria thought it suspicious that she had refused a paternity test. Many people believed that this meant that Beatrice was not a princess, but an illegitimate child. It would give the whole kingdom a bad name if the king's only descendant was, in fact, not his descendant at all.
What do I do?
She was alone and had no support. She was in a state of despair. Fearful of the truth that a paternity test could reveal, Rose hesitated, weighed down by the expectations of royalty.
If I get rid of my parents, I can take a paternity test.
The only reason she couldn't agree to a paternity test was because of her real father and her false parents. If all three of them were gone, no one would have any way of knowing who really bore her. She knew that it would only be a matter of time before her father sent his horrible maid to fetch more money from her. So she knew all she had to do was wait to be in contact with him. And sure enough, a few days later, there she was.
Here's a letter, Your Majesty.
As soon as Rose took the letter, she began to cry. She was terrified about what she would have to do next.
This breaks my heart.
Are you all right?
How dare you ask if I'm all right?
Rose thought that the maid must know about the rumors, and she was mocking her. Rose held back the urge to scream. She glared fiercely at the maid with wide eyes. The maid flinched and lowered her gaze.
Leave me alone.
She opened the envelope after taking a deep breath. She hated herself for being hopeful that there might be love in this letter, not just greed.
Dear daughter, I need more money.
Her voice trailed off. He didn't even bother to write words of comfort. He only mentioned how difficult his days were and how her wealth was what he needed, not her love. Tears streamed down her face, and she tossed the letter aside. She crumpled to the floor and covered her face with both hands. She touched her fingertips to the scar on her forehead. No matter how she wore her hair, the scar was still there. She scratched it with her fingernails.
Why was I born a slave? Why did I have to be the daughter of that piece of trash? Why was Bronwyn born a noble? Why did she get lovely parents and the opportunity to live happily? I want to be loved. I want to love. I want to be happy.
She wanted someone who truly loved her. Not a father who abandoned his daughter, nor a man who promised her love and did not protect her. She just wanted to love and be loved completely. Each time her fist hit the carpet, the more the splendid ring on her right hand sank into her skin. Blood flowed down her hand, but she felt no pain. She felt as though she heard the ring whispering, "You are not worthy of me."
It's nothing. My first instinct was to deflect Henry's question about the box. Unfazed, he planted a gentle kiss on my cheek.
So, why do you look so uneasy?
I grappled with the dilemma of addressing either the box from Aldrich or the lingering issue of the sorcerer decline.
My queen?
I was thinking.
From your expression, it doesn't seem like you were thinking of anything happy.
I have two things to tell you.
Were you thinking about whether you should say them?
No, I was thinking which to say first.
Are they difficult things to say? You can ask me anything.
Are you involved in the phenomenon of the sorcerer decline? If you are involved, he had hurt hundreds of people. They may never forgive him. His expression shifted, his demeanor turning cold as ice. Henry, are you involved? I would be broken-hearted if he confessed, but no matter what, he was my husband. I kissed him gently. I'm not blaming you. His golden lashes rose and fell over his violet eyes. The room was completely silent. I just need honesty. Reality faded away, and the whole world felt like it was just us. I felt that no matter what he said at this point, I was ready to accept it.
Sorcerers are the pillars that have made Elisaria the most powerful country. They are the strength of the king himself. I harmed them only as a way to limit Elisaria's power, but not anymore. For you, my queen. I married you, and I won't start a war against Elisaria for your sake.
And Skylar?
It is true that she lost her magic because of me, but I was also the one who returned it, because I couldn't stand seeing you so pained.
Different emotions rose in me at the same time. They were so mixed that I could barely tell them apart. I cupped his face in my hands and rested my forehead against his. Suddenly my feelings were clear. Guilt and gratitude.
My queen?
He was frightened because I stood there, silent. I didn't know what to say. Thank you for thinking of me.
You're not angry?
You decided not to go to war for me.
Even though I was the one who hurt Skylar?
It was also you who returned the magic to her.
If I hadn't taken it from her in the first place, she would have been stronger than she is now. Aren't you disappointed in me, my queen?
I shook my head. I'm not disappointed. What could I say to the man who had given up his ambitions for me? He must have been planning this war for ages. It was necessary for the strength of the Celestial Isles. But it was what I feared most. He chose me. It struck me. He truly loved me. I cocked my head and my gaze fell on Aldrich's gift on the desk. How would he have acted in this situation? Unaware of my thoughts, Henry inquired about the second matter I intended to discuss.
You wanted to tell me two things. What's the other?
Aldrich sent me a very precious gift.
You mean the handicrafts the delegation brought?
No, a personal gift. His gaze fell on the dented box.
Is it that, by any chance?
Yes. I'd like to return it, because it's a heavy burden to receive this from Aldrich. But if I send it personally, it might cause misunderstanding. Can you do it for me?
Did you deliberately choose this order to speak?
Are you disappointed? Henry's laughter filled the room at my choice of words, echoing his from earlier. He lifted his head and looked into my eyes, and leaned forward slightly. Then we united our hearts and shared a tender kiss.
Rose was resolute in severing the ties that bound her to her past, yet she felt the gravity of her impending decision about her real father.
He's not the kind of person who would leave just because I asked him to. He'll cling to my ankle for the rest of his life.
Initially, she intended to ask Friedrich to vanish from her life, even if it meant surrendering a valuable part of her possessions. Given her real father's acquaintance with the journalist Julian, Rose believed he understood her predicament.
But he doesn't care. Unless I die, he would always cling to me. No, maybe even after my death, he would still cling to me, through Beatrice. I have to get rid of him.
She ground her teeth, acknowledging the need to sever the roots of her misfortunes.
Come to think of it, he is the cause of all of my misfortunes. The rotten roots must be cut off.
In front of the mirror, she removed the ring that had embedded into her flesh, leaving behind a scarlet line. Blood dripped from the ring, emphasizing the gravity of her decision. Putting on her red gloves, Rose entered the drawing room. There, she found the maid sent by her father chatting with others about her improved life. The maid, fearing Rose's anger, stood up and bowed when she noticed her presence. Rather than displaying anger, Rose wore a sad smile.
I'd like to send a present to my father, but I think it's too heavy for you to carry alone.
Your Majesty, don't worry, I have strength.
Even if you have strength, you won't be able to carry it. This might be the last present I give him, so I put in a lot of things.
The last present?
I'm currently in a very difficult position. It's impossible for me to explain. Besides, I want to see my father's face one last time. So, I would like you to tell him to come in person. Can you tell him?
Yes.
Oh, I almost forgot. The present is very big, so it will attract attention. If a rumor spread that he received a precious present from me, it wouldn't be good for him. So, make sure you tell him not to let anyone see him on his way here. He can come through the back entrance.
Returning to her room, Rose picked up the ring she had left on the table. Rather than wiping off the blood, she deliberately added more blood from her own finger. Donning a light black cloak, she concealed a dagger inside her wide right sleeve.
I'm going for a walk.
She headed for the back entrance. Choosing a secluded route with less foot traffic, she waited for her real father to appear. As he approached, Rose, hiding in the bushes, noticed a knight behind him. He seemed unaware at first of his presence.
Who's there?
It's me. My maid told me you had a gift.
But her father stopped suddenly, when the knight grabbed him from behind. The knight spoke quietly to him for a moment. Then, Friedrich nodded a couple of times and followed the knight in the other direction.
Hey, stop it, I command it!
Rose tried to follow the men, but soon lost them and knew if she kept it up, she would only fuel the rumor mill.
Who in the palace would want to see my father?
Amid her anxiety, a glimmer of hope emerged.
Must have been His Majesty. He definitely intervened for my sake and the princess. Even now that our relationship has turned cold, he will naturally take my side in this critical situation, because now I am the queen.
Rose's assumption was only half true. King Aldrich, bearing the weight of a delicate situation, demanded answers.
What did you do with him?
I ruined his face and locked him in the depths of the dungeon.
Aldrich, with the gravity of a ruler facing a crisis, had chosen to deal with Rose's real father sooner than planned. The delicate situation extended beyond Rose. If it was revealed she wasn't of the noble family Duke Elegy had brought forth, both Rose and the princess would face dire consequences. For the sake of the princess's future, Aldrich had no option but to resolve the issue prematurely.
If they agree to take a paternity test, they can stay in the royal palace. If not, tell them to leave the palace. They won't want to get caught up in this and lose the rest of their honor, so they will probably flee immediately.
The corners of Aldrich's lips twisted with a calculated plan. William and Martha, unaware that their secret had been uncovered, faced an uncertain fate. As Aldrich strategized, the palace teetered on the edge of revelation and impending decisions. With the assumption that Aldrich had taken care of her real father, Rose summoned William and Martha. Duke Elegy, the bearer of news, brought the couple. Despite Aldrich's apparent knowledge of their true identity, Rose aimed to convince them to leave voluntarily.
This worries me, because of the rumors that have arisen lately.
With tears in her eyes, Rose explained the situation and urged them to step away for a while.
All right. We would never do anything to hurt you.
Despite their previous pleas for money to find their supposed real daughter, the couple, at least in this moment, appeared more considerate than Rose's real father.
Thank you. I'll call you to come back when the circumstances improve.
Remember that you can also call us if you need help.
Rose, overwhelmed with emotions, embraced the couple.
I wish you two were my real parents.
Suddenly recalling Schuyler, Rose stepped back, shaken. She handed them the money intended for them, along with what she initially planned for her real father. Rose, aware that she might never contact them again, saw this as a final farewell and a generous parting gift. Given such generosity, she was sure they wouldn't say anything bad about her, even if they left for another country. William sighed, accepting the money, expressing his gratitude.
Thank you, Rose.
We will never forget you.
If we leave at once, people might find it strange, so it's best to wait for the right time.
Rose agreed, nodding in alignment with their cautious approach. Later, Rose, wanting to discuss matters with Aldrich, was informed that he would only receive her in his bedroom. Rose had not been in Aldrich's room for quite some time, and she feared what awaited her. But she could not have been prepared for what she saw. Approaching the massive painting on his wall, Rose discovered two depictions. One portrayed Princess Beatrice lying in a cradle with a serene smile. The other, however, shocked her. An unsettling image of Queen Bronwyn, Aldrich lying on her lap, meeting her gaze.
That's the deposed queen.
Aldrich emerged from the bath, witnessing Rose's shock that quickly turned into anger.
How dare you hang in this bedroom a painting of a woman who is already the wife of another man? And next to the painting of the princess, no less.
Aldrich, appearing indifferent, approached Rose.
Do you have something to tell me?
Rose, initially planning to inquire about Friedrich, lost confidence upon seeing the painting. She wondered if Aldrich would truly feel remorse for killing her father. In a moment of uncertainty, Aldrich, drying his hair, sat on the bed and urged Rose to speak.
Speak at once.
If instead of me, it had been someone else who fell into your trap, would your majesty have saved that person?
What does that matter now? I don't have time for your tantrums.
Please tell me. It's very important.
Rose, while I have no taste for collecting injured humans, of course, if it had been someone else, I would have saved and treated that person as well.
If it had been another woman, would your majesty also have taken her as your concubine?
Aldrich, met with a complicated gaze, chose silence. Rose, interpreting the silence as uncertainty, reluctantly revealed her purpose.
I came here to tell you that I will take a paternity test.
Once Rose agreed to partake in the paternity test, the pervasive suspicions began to wane.
It seems to be a false rumor that the princess is another man's daughter because of how sure she is.
If the princess is proven to be the king's daughter after the paternity test, all those who spread absurd rumors will be in trouble.
Despite lingering doubts, the public believed Rose had a legitimate reason to be confident. While it was acknowledged that Rose's image would be tarnished due to concealing her past, the scandalous rumor of the princess not being a princess overshadowed her indiscretions. Anticipation for the paternity test ran high among both nobles and commoners. However, to everyone's surprise, the test faced unexpected delays. This unforeseen pause also benefited Rose, allowing her to make a crucial visit.
Rose? What are you doing here?
Hello, Duke Elegy. I need to see you.
There was a sense of urgency when Rose entered Duke Elegy's chamber.
I have something of grave importance to discuss. I need a favor.
Feigning indifference, the Duke sat down in his leather chair and leaned back nonchalantly.
Well, this is unexpected. I thought you were trying to avoid me for a while. A favor? For Rose, you say? Intriguing.
Please, kidnap Alan's son.
Have you run out of adults to torture?
His spirit clings to the princess and me. If he remains, all of our schemes are hopeless.
They sat in silence for a moment, as Duke Elegy processed what she was asking of him.
What is to be done after the kidnapping? Should I dispose of the lad?
Rose, panicked, shook her head vehemently.
No, not that.
Then what, my dear?
Place him in a home, far from Elisaria, a home yearning for a child.
Must I go to a distant country for this?
It's a complicated request, I know. I'll offer anything in return.
Rose, you haven't fulfilled your promise yet regarding the port.
I will definitely give it to you, but at present I lack the means.
I fear you might use me and discard me when I'm no longer of use.
But that would never happen.
Duke Elegy, with a devilish grin, closed in.
Can you assure me in writing about the port?
The matter of returning Aldrich's gift had been left in Henry's hands, dissipating the looming threat of war with my former country. Yet, as these concerns faded, a fresh one emerged. Unlike its weighty predecessors, this worry didn't suffocate my heart. It was lighter, but demanded attention nonetheless. It revolved around Henry's birthday gift. Seeking advice was completely unfruitful. My mother suggested hiring a chef, but my father urged me to bake the cake myself. Cedrica was my only lady-in-waiting with a suggestion. The gift could be a sword or a spear. My brother suggested clothing, Matilda quality time, Lady Nadine gave me the name of the lingerie shop she frequented. But finally, Haxon suggested something quite intriguing.
A birthday gift for His Majesty Henry. There's a dance he performed.